Hey guys, so in today's video we have another budget update, which I know you guys are always interested to see what our numbers were like. So we are going to have a look at our spending for the month of February, and then I'm also going to take you through our monthly budget for the month of March. So let's just get straight into it. Now, we tend to use a monthly budget template because we like to budget for the month, and this is something that you can also access if you are interested in it. So it does come with a net worth statement, a sinking funds calculator, and then you have the choice between a monthly budget template or a weekly budget template depending on how you get paid. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. I will leave a link in the description below for you. But in terms of how we started in February, for once we had actually underspent by about £7, which was amazing considering that January is just normally a longer month, although I try to not make it too depressing because January is also my birthday month. So we did start the month with £7 being under budget, and so we put that forward towards our budget for February. And in terms of everything else, like our total income came in, we put money towards our savings and investments that was automatically taken out, and then we also paid for our essential bills and our sinking funds as well. So I'm not going to dwell on this too much because I did mention that in my previous budget update. So if you are curious with all the numbers, definitely check that out. I will link it up here for you and in the description below. But as always, everything tends to get paid out as soon as we are paid. So let's go to the juicy part, which is tracking our general spending. Okay, so let's have a look at how we actually spent our money for the month of February. Let's talk about transport first. So originally we did have a budget for £120 and we ended up spending £118. So pretty much almost on target for transport, just £2 left over, but you know, I will take it. Let's move over to groceries. Now, we did have an original budget of £175, so we were hoping to spend around £43 to £44 a week on our groceries budget. Now, one of the weeks we did also try HelloFresh, and with that we actually got free dinner meals, and the only thing we needed to pay for was delivery. So I think we paid like £4.50 for that, and we got a free meal because my mum sent us a free link, and so we decided to try it out. But in terms of how much we ended up spending on groceries, it came to £175. So bang on target. However, my question is, if we didn't get HelloFresh and we didn't have those free meals, would we have gone over budget on food? I'm actually not too sure. However, I will also say we did have some food like in the freezer that were pretty much frozen to have. So I feel like we still would have stayed on budget, like we still would have spent the same amount even if we didn't use the HelloFresh. So we'll see next month, like in terms of how much we end up spending then. But £175, obviously I cannot complain. And if you're liking this video so far, then feel free to give me a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel, plus it's free. So next up is toiletries, and we had an original budget of £40, and I think I remember saying in the previous budget update that I wasn't sure if we would go over it or if we need to start increasing that budget as well, because for the past couple of months we had gone over. But with toiletries for this month, guess how much we spent? £40. Yes, bang on target for once. So I'm very excited that toiletries was basically £40 and that was it. So I do think the previous couple of months were just a fluke, to be honest. So I'm very happy with that result. Okay, let's move over to our individual spending. So both myself and my husband, we allocate £100 each towards our spending, so we can literally spend it on anything and everything. No one has to question anyone. And for me personally, this is probably one of the first times where I didn't end up spending all of my money. Like, I think I spent about £65, give or take. I don't know. I think that's mainly because I didn't go out very often. I am still one of those people who likes to go out more during the summer, and during the winter months, I'm just not much of a fan of going out. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the month of March, but I'm very happy to still have a bit of money left over. I'm still deciding whether I might just add that to my spending money for next month, and then I'll just have a bigger spending pot, or I might just add it to like one of my sinking funds, like maybe Christmas, or I don't know, know, something that I think is going to come up in the future, I might just like set it aside. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with what happened to my spending. And as you guys know, I will never know how much Yinka spent, but usually he saves most of his money. And then we have got personal care. So we originally set a budget for £60. However, we only ended up spending about £40, and that's mainly because my husband decided not to cut his hair that month. And so yeah, that is basically why we didn't use the full £60. However, that meant we did have more money to spend on date night. So you will see in date night that we ended up spending slightly more than the original budget. So with date night, we had an original budget of £50, and usually we would budget around £70 to £80 depending on like the season and what the weather is like. As I mentioned before, I don't always like to go out, so we prefer to do things at home. And so I thought like, oh yeah, this month we probably will only need £50. And so because the income wasn't cutting his hair, we decided, well, we may as well use that for date night. And sometimes for us, date night simply just means Netflix and chill with a takeout. So instead of the £50, we ended up spending £73. So yeah, part of me kind of wonders whether I should have just put the budget for £70 again, but I think we probably still would have kept with the 50 if we knew that Yinka was going to cut his hair. And then we've got my monthly gym membership, so that's £21.99. That's a direct debit, that doesn't change. Disney Plus was also £7.99, so that was also paid out. Miscellaneous, we did have an original budget for £30, and I think I remember questioning whether that was going to be enough. But in terms of miscellaneous, we ended up spending only £29. So £1 less than the original budget. I'm very, very proud of that. And then again, these other things were also paid out. So my husband's rugby games, that was £45. Our pennies jar, which is basically any loose change, we put that into a little pot. That was £1.51. And then we also had to pay for our wedding hotel, which again, I mentioned in my previous budget update video, and we had to pay £100 for that. So as you can see though, when it came to our spending, total was about £851, but we pretty much stayed bang on target, which I am very, very surprised at. Honestly, it was getting to the end of the month and I was like, are we gonna go over, or are we even gonna be under? But pretty much bang on target. So sometimes when this happens, I'm like, I am an absolute boss at budgeting and sticking to a budget, because if we can do this to the T, you know that I did a good budget for the month. This doesn't always happen, by the way. Sometimes we go over, sometimes we go under. It's actually fine. But when we stick to the T, I'm kind of proud of myself, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so when it comes to the March budget, obviously we didn't underspend or overspend, so there's no change there. But in terms of our income, actually in March, we will be budgeting for 5 weeks instead of 4 weeks, just based on how we are getting paid. Now, I also get paid weekly, so for me, it's actually quite good because then we have an income for all the 5 weeks. So this month does look a little bit different because especially when it comes to our spending, we've slightly increased it to make sure that we'll have enough money for 5 weeks. Because I think what happened last year is that sometimes I would forget that we're gonna need to budget for 5 weeks, and then when it got to the last week, it was like, oh, we don't really have that much money left to spend. And I always want to have like enough money to spend, so I've made sure that each week is basically equal so that we can also still enjoy our spending whilst we're still saving and paying our bills at the same time. So in terms of our income, obviously we've got my husband's salary and we've got mine. As I mentioned, my husband will get paid monthly, but I get paid weekly, so our income is slightly higher for the month of March, but we also need to budget for an extra week, so honestly it kind of cancels out, to be honest. But that is our total income. Anything in my business, I pretty much just keep it in that account separately. I haven't really been pulling money out of that yet, but I may do in the future, just not now. So let's move over to savings and investments. So in terms of our savings and investments, this month we are going to be saving £1,400, and that is going to go to our house deposit fund, so that's all fun. We have got £50 going towards both of our investments. So for me personally, that is going to go into my stocks and shares ISA because I currently invest through the stock market. So in terms of our total savings and investments, that comes to £1,500. So again, it is actually higher compared to previous month, but obviously because we got paid an extra week, that makes sense. Next up, let's talk about essential bills. So in terms of our rent, we are currently paying £1,100 a month. We've then got £47.75 for our water bill. I've heard that this is going to be increasing, but we've not been told anything yet, so we'll see. Electricity and gas, we are currently paying £50.96, and that is also because the government is contributing. So again, we'll see what happens in April when all of this changes. Council tax is £129, broadband is £31, iCloud is £158, and then we've got our SIM only contracts. So for my husband's phone, it is £12 a month, and then for my phone, it is £10 a month. And if you're ever interested, we use Voxy, so that includes in the social media data. So again, if you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description below for you. And then last of all, we've also got our tithes, charity and giving, because that is something that is very essential to us. No matter what happens to our income, we will always give a proportion of our total income. So that is our essential bills done. Now let's move over to our sinking funds, and these are basically just expenses that we're setting aside money for, just so that we have money ready in case we need to use it. So the first one is car maintenance. So we are setting aside £50 for that, and that includes insurance or like MOT or any road coverage or anything like that. We've also got £10 going towards our dentist appointment, another £10 going towards my husband's rugby registration, another £10 going towards a clothes pot, another £10 going towards a presents pot, and then we also have another £10 going towards a skincare pot. So we do have a few sinking funds, and on top of that, we have also now started to create a wedding sinking fund, because as I mentioned in my previous budget update, my husband is actually going to be a groomsman for 2 weddings. So we need to start setting some money aside, because weddings are not cheap. So I want to make sure that we have money there. And then also we have got £55 going towards electricity and gas. And that's just extra money that we're setting aside so that come April, if our bills do increase, then we'll be able to use that pot just in case we need it. So in terms of our sinking funds, that comes to £205. Let's now move over to our general spending. So when it comes to our spending, first of all, we've got our transport. So we have set a budget for £150. And so what I basically did is just divide the £120 by 4 weeks and then times that by 5 weeks, just to make sure that we do have enough money for transport for the full 5 weeks. So that's why it is slightly higher, but that's transport. Next up, when it comes to groceries, so again, I've used the same method. So this month is going to be £218 that we have budgeted for. So we still want to be able to spend as much as we did last month. So hopefully we'll be spending around £43 to £44 a week on groceries. Then we've got toiletries. So we've got a budget of £50 for that. And then we've got our individual spending. So again, because we have an extra week, we have added a little bit more money, because we may want to go out on the other week. So £125 each has been allocated for both of us. Personal care, we still have a budget for £60. Date night, we have actually increased that to £70, considering we also have another week to budget for. And then the gym membership remains as £21.99. Disney Plus remains as £7.99. Miscellaneous, we have also slightly increased that to £40. And then with my husband's rugby games, again, we've added another week for that. So that is £60, because he pays, I think, about £15 per match. And then after that, we also had some loose change. So we had £4.67 left over. So again, we decided to add that to our pennies pot, and hopefully that will grow over time. And so you can see the spending is about £932. So it's definitely more than February's spending, but also the savings is a lot more than February's as well. So in terms of how this month's budget looks like, I think this month should still be a decent month. Now, if you're maybe very inspired by my budget updates and you're wondering how you can actually stick to your budget as well, so that you can still be able to save more money, but at the same time you're still able to actually spend your money too and actually live your life, but you're not really sure what's been happening or what's going wrong, then definitely check out my one-on-one coaching, because what I can do is actually help you to break down your budget easily so that you're able to actually save much more money and you're able to start investing, but you're also able to live your life and spend at the same time. And I've been able to do that with many women where they absolutely love budgeting now, now because they're able to save money and spend at the same time. So make sure you do check that out if you haven't already. What you can do is just book a free sales call to find out more about working with me. So I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. But all in all, I think we definitely did very well for February, and I'm looking forward to seeing how March goes too. So if you did like this video, then please do give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, how did your budget go for the month of February? I do post every Tuesday, so if you would like to know more, then of course you can subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week.